we'll go ahead and get started. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our virtual space this morning. My name is Melissa Neeson, and I serve on your fellowship board of directors. I especially want to welcome any guests we have joining us today. We have a new virtual guest book on our website, so please consider checking that out, getting some more information about us, or giving us a little bit more information about you. We'd love to get to know you better. Another way to get to know you better would be after the service, we're going to be put into breakout rooms, which is just a smaller group of people, and it would be a great time to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you, and if you'd like, that is, or you can just listen in too, that's fine too, but that'll be after the service, so look forward to that. I have a couple announcements today. Most of this has a lot more detail in the weekly email that I'm sure everybody has read by now. If not, go check it out. But as you know, our building is still closed, but the board is paying attention to everything right now, as is the regathering task force. Thank you, everybody who's serving on that right now. And there's a little bit more information about what they are doing in the weekly email. But remember, the building is closed, but the fellowship is open. Everybody's favorite time of the year is coming up. Yep, that's right. It's the annual meeting time. That's happening on December 13th. So check out the schedule we have there for you. And if you'd like to take another look at the budget, that's there too. Did you know that next year is the fellowship's 75th anniversary? We are planning some events and activities for the 75th anniversary. If you'd like to be part of that planning, Jane Reynolds is heading that up, and there is a meeting coming up on November 30th. So check that out. We'd love for you to be involved with that. This month's plate split offertory recipient is the Bridge Home. You may know them better as the Emergency Residence Project. This is a wonderful organization that does a lot of good helping those in most need right here in your community in Ames. We'll put a link in the chat for where you can go to donate to the offertory today. Thank you for your generosity. I'm very pleased to be able to introduce our guest speaker today. The Reverend Kimberley Debus joins us today from upstate New York, where she is building a community ministry of the arts. Her Art of Meaning ministry is devoted to the idea that it is through creativity, inspiration, and beauty that we connect to ourselves, to one another, and to mystery and meaning. So on behalf of this caring, nurturing congregation, we invite you into this virtual space. Here we live into our mission of growing spiritually, creating community, striving for justice, and learning to love. Here you will be challenged, supported, and loved. Thank you for being here.
We light our chalice with these words from Eric Walker Wickstrom. As we gather here today, may we listen so that we can hear. May we hear so that we can feel. May we feel so that we can know. And may we know so that we can change ourselves and this world. May the flame of this chalice light our way. Our opening words come from the Reverend Gretchen Haley. Come into this place with all your confusion about how you will carry on, and also with your hope. Come with your walls up, your furrowed brow, your fear, and your belief in something more. Let the silence call you back to yourself and the sound of your heart beating. Let the songs hold you and the company all around feel like a promise, a light of a new day breaking. There is no one here who does not know that lonely place that creeps in, no one's life that has skipped anger or loss or pain. There is no one here who does not know what it is to wonder why and what if, and to want to be a part of making a life of meaning, making a difference, to live all the way alive and awake and with friends to lean on. We all need this remembering to breathe, this remembering what matters, this release of everything else, this time, this beauty, this beginning again. Come, let us worship together.
Good morning and welcome again. I'm Amy Slagle and I co-chair our Sunday Services Committee. And each week we take time in our service to share the milestones of our lives, significant experiences that carry joy or challenge or gratitude. If you have a milestone to share this morning, please unmute your microphone, introduce yourself, share your milestone, and let us know that your sharing is complete by saying, "Thank you for listening." In this virtual sacred space, we do experience time lag, and so we'll be mindful that it's easy for our voices to overlap. We need to allow some space between speakers. Milestones can also be shared in the chat function, and I will share them with the group. This is our time of sharing.
I'll start. My name is Rella Fox, and I got a call just a few minutes ago from Jenny Mulgard, who's having trouble with her electronics this morning. And she asked me to provide an update on her husband, Lee. Lee was diagnosed with COVID during the past week and went into the hospital and then was discharged yesterday morning, I think it was, and spent a few hours at home and was readmitted last night at 9:30. His oxygen levels had dropped to the point of concern. And so Jenny right now is trying to keep her phone open because she has not heard from the hospital and obviously is quite anxious to be able to talk to them. So she's asking that people not call her so that if the hospital does call, she can get that call. She is very tired, she said. She doesn't know if that's just from the strain of what's going on with Lee or if she also has COVID. She was tested, but the results aren't due in until she thinks maybe Tuesday. Mainly she just appreciates your thinking about her, and that's all I know at this point. So thank you.
Thank you, Rilla.
Hi, I'm Carol Barrick from Nevada. My husband Denny is sitting over here beside me. We have some good news. After months and months of searching, we found a home in Ames, and it's a sure thing. And so we will be closer to our many of our UU friends who live in Ames, and our daughter and our grandchildren. And we plan to move ourselves slowly because we don't want to be exposed to people coming in and out of our home. And we think it's doable. And we plan to put our home on the market late winter or early spring, so we won't be rushed into getting out of here in an unsafe manner. So thank you.
This is Melissa Neeson, and my family also had a was exposed to COVID, and we've all gotten better now. Luckily, it was pretty mild for us, and also luckily we had not been around my parents anytime recently, so we were thankfully did not pass it on to them. So I feel for everybody who's had a hard time with this, and it wasn't fun for sure, but luckily it seems like we're all out of the woods, and I'm thankful that we didn't have it any harder than we did. I'm done.
This is Jessa, and I just wanted to make a note for everybody to think about those that can't go home to other places. I did hear about one student that goes to Iowa State who can't go home, but is having a hard time finding a place to stay. And so I know that this isn't the only student, because there are probably many students all over the nation that have come here from other places to go to school, and they're having the same difficulties, whether it's their country not being able to allow them to go home, or our country saying that they can't come back if they go home. It's a hard thing when you have to decide for your health or school. I'm done.
Having heard these milestones and knowing that there are many still unspoken in our hearts, let's be together in a moment of silence. Whatever brought you here today, whatever you are carrying in your heart, know that in this community, no one needs ever to be alone on their journey, and that you are loved. Moment of silence.
This blessing hardly knows what to say, speechless as it is, not simply from grief, but from the gratitude that has come with it. The thankfulness that sits among the sorrow and can barely begin to tell you what it means not to be alone. This blessing knows the distances you crossed in person, in prayer, to enter into days of waiting, nights of long vigil. It knows the paths you traveled to be here in the dark. Even in the shadows, this blessing sees more than it can say, and has simply come to show you the light that you have given, not to return it to you, not to reflect it back to you, but only to ask you to open your eyes and see the grace of it, the gift that shines in this brightness that you bear.
My name is Erin Peterson. I use she and her pronouns. And this is a reading called Working Together by David White. We shape ourselves to fit this world, and by the world are shaped again. the visible and the invisible working together in common cause to produce the miraculous. I'm thinking of the way the intangible air, passed at speed round a shaped wing, easily holds our weight. So may we, in this life, trust to those elements we have yet to see or imagine, and look for the true shape of our own self by forming it well to the great intangibles about us.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me. Comfort me, oh my soul. Stay with me, stay with me, stay with me, oh my soul. Stay with me, stay with me, stay with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me. Sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Pray with me, pray with me, pray with me, oh my soul. Pray with me, pray with me. Pray with me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
Once upon a time that seems so long ago, but wasn't really, a group of people in Ames, Iowa got together once a week. As they pulled into the parking lot, they waved to those who were already there. As they joyfully got out of their cars and into the building, they were greeted with smiles and handshakes and hugs. Someone remembered another's birthday and handed them a card. Someone else gave out small jars of sourdough starter that they had promised to share. Two others finally pulled out their phones to schedule a long overdue coffee date. Someone thanked another for the project they completed. A couple listened closely as someone shared hard news. More hugs, more handshakes, more smiles, more conversation, until the signal that worship was about to begin, and those people sat together and sang together, listened together, and spent a radiant hour together. A simple ritual, the gathering together for worship, something we took for granted before the pandemic. Our show of affection and care was almost instinctive, is instinctive. We reach out to one another, and as we learn more about each other, we know who welcomes hugs, who values a handshake, who would rather not touch but appreciates conversation. We know who loves to give things they've baked or grown, and who is willing to accept them. We figure out who craves more connection than a too short and often too interrupted coffee hour conversation. Such is the warmth of community that we talk about in the familiar chalice extinguishing by Elizabeth Sella Jones, shared often in Unitarian Universalist congregations. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community and the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. These we carry in our hearts. Now, we tend to talk about the fire of commitment a lot and sing it a lot. We are a people committed to justice and loving the hell out of this world, after all. But we also carry in our hearts the warmth of community, our community. The warmth we show when we enter, the warmth that keeps us coming back, that keeps us in covenant when times are hard, keeps us affirming and promoting our principles, the warmth of our care for one another. Now, there are lots of ways to care for one another. Some of you are caring for young children, raising them with love and infinite patience. Others are caring for elderly family members, honoring their legacy and ensuring their health and safety. Some are doing both, you of the sandwich generations. Care also shows up in our attention and concern. Care to avoid damage of risk or loss, whether it be our cars or our good china or our silk blouse or our checking accounts. Some of you are also professional carers, nurses, doctors, hospice workers, chaplains, therapists, police officers, firefighters, ministers, all working in caring professions to ensure physical, emotional, spiritual health and safety, even as restrictions are being reasserted because of the shockingly high spread of COVID-19 right now. But we all have the capacity for care because we have affection for one another. In his book, The Four Loves, C.S. Lewis talks about affection, a characteristic of love that usually needs absence or bereavement to set us praising those to whom only affection binds us. He suggests that affection has a quiet nature, that we often take for granted those for whom we feel affection. Yet affection also opens our eyes to goodness we would not have seen nor should not have appreciated without it. It is, Lewis confirms, responsible for 9/10 of whatever solid and durable happiness there is in our natural lives. When we show affection for each other, we affirm each other's worth and dignity and interconnectedness. We show care for their bodies, their minds, and their sweet souls. And we are in a time of absence. Worse, we don't know when things will change. We sit in this long, strange, growing colder pause, unsure, anxious, bored, and wondering if life will ever return to what we called normal, wondering what the new normal might be. This feeling, a combination of listlessness, yearning, distraction, loneliness, boredom, tinged with grief and melancholy, we all feel it in different ways, in a different measure, at different times. But we all feel it, and thanks to an early 5th century monk named John Cassian, we know its name, Acedia. The feeling isn't new, and it isn't ours alone. We are, in fact, all feeling this. In the 5th century, it was the effect of the monastic life, separated from the flow of humanity with no end in sight. Here in the 21st, it is the effect of the pauses and lockdowns and quarantines, separated from the hustle and bustle of life as we knew it. Early on, it was useful to slow down. We cooked more, we baked bread, we dug into projects, we learned Zoom. In our congregations, we moved groups online. We changed the stewardship campaign. We put some projects on hold. And still, something is missing. We feel it in our bodies, in our minds, and in our souls. So let us breathe as we consider how we might mend our souls with these words from Nancy Schaefer.
The poem is titled Mending. I'm Amy Schlegel. How shall we mend you, sweet soul? What shall we use, and how is it in the first place you've come to be torn? Come sit, come tell me. We will find a way to mend you. I would offer you so much, sweet soul. This banana, sliced in rounds of palest yellow atop hot cereal, or these raisins scattered through it if you'd rather. Would offer cellos in the background singing melodies Vivaldi heard and wrote for us to keep. Would hold out to you everything colored blue or lavender or light green. All of this I would offer you, sweet soul. All of it or any piece of it might mend you. I would offer you, sweet soul, this chair by the window, this sunlight on the floor, and the cat asleep in it. I would offer you my silence, my presence, all this love I have, and my sorrow that you've become torn. How shall we mend you, sweet soul? With these, I think, gently we can begin. We will mend you with a rocking chair, some raisins, a cat, a field of lavender beginning now to bloom. We will mend you with songs remembered entirely the first time ever they are heard. We will mend you with pieces of your own sweet self, sweet soul, with what you've taught from the very beginning.
Now, for some of you, the orders to stay home may have seemed a little like a slice of heaven. Finally getting to clear your calendar and nest and do your thing. Yet even for the most introverted among us, this isolation can be wearing, especially for those who are not only working from home, but are also caring for and trying to educate children. It's been 8 solid months of virtual everything with no end in sight. And even the introverts are missing their weekly foray into the flurry of Sunday mornings. And we're not out of danger. Even though restrictions lifted for a while, not all of them did, and now we are back to higher than ever levels of concern and we're still mostly isolated and missing our communities. Dr. Kimberley Norris, an authority on confinement and reintegration at the University of Tasmania, says that we moved fairly quickly from the first period of isolation, a time of panic buying and confusion, to the second period, the honeymoon, where it felt novel and different as we learned new technology and enjoyed working in our pajamas. But by summer, we entered the third period, a time of loneliness and frustration, a time of hollow-eyed stares, odd fixations, and brooding resentment. According to studies of how long humans can survive in space, moods tend to drop about halfway through a mission. And when there is unclarity about when a time of isolation will end, it is even harder. Because even though we have had some recent announcements about a vaccine that's promising from Pfizer, and of course, President-elect Biden's new science-based COVID task force, well, the uncertainty of how long this will actually last means that this third period could continue for a really long time. We need the warmth of community more than ever if we are to sustain our community through this long third period. We are missing the things that make our community warm, that make us warm. Yes, we're getting good messages for our minds, hearing good music and poetry that feed our souls, but that's not all we go to church for. We miss the care and the affection that the community that are meaningful to us. Now, it's true that not every show of affection works for everyone. In the early 1990s, Gary Chapman developed the 5 love languages, which identified the various ways that people want to receive expressions of love. Words of affection, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. Now, as I read some of those off, some of you probably thought that, well, that one is me. Oh, that's the one. And others thought, well, yeah, I like this and I like that. And that's important to know how you want to receive affection and care. Because then you can share with those around you, your partners, family members, friends, and fellow members of this fellowship. You already do some of it without even realizing it. Those who love physical touch ask for hugs. Those who crave quality time make promises to set a date for coffee. Those who like gifts are first in line for the apple pies or the freshly picked pumpkins. And it's hard right now, especially for the quality time and physical touch people. But even in this time of pandemic, when the closest we get is a wave as we walk past a friend's house, or chat over the phone, or FaceTime, or Zoom, we can express affection. So for those who appreciate words of affirmation, call or text or send a letter with messages of appreciation and encouragement. Express your gratefulness for them. Share something interesting. For those who appreciate quality time, make plans for the virtual coffee dates and dinners and watch parties, game nights, dance parties. Make it special and focused on being together. For those who appreciate receiving gifts, now is a great time to send things through the mail or leave baskets of flowers or bread or starter plants or, yes, apple pies on their doorstep. For those who appreciate acts of service, inquire if there are ways to help out with a meal delivery or help in the garden or repairing something, or as winter approaches, cleaning the walks and driveways. Things that can be done safely and protected and from a distance. For those who appreciate physical touch, you are my people. And this may be hardest on us. If you live with one of those who appreciate touch, do so. Hold hands, hug, touch shoulders, with consent, of course. For those who don't live with anyone, offer them affirmations and suggestions of in-home spa days. Send warm blankets. Suggest snuggling with pillows, pets wrapping up in a shawl. It isn't easy. I'm not going to say it is. Showing affection at a distance is hard. And the old saw, absence makes the heart grow fonder, is real, especially for those who count on our weekly immersion in the warmth of this fellowship. And yes, we are showing care and have been by staying home, following safety guidelines, treating each other with grace, staying 6 feet apart, wearing our masks, and by remembering that what we do now to reduce the rate of infection means we will someday be together again. It's important. Our bodies, our minds, our souls need our healing care. Nancy Schaefer reminded us that care matters for our sweet souls, our souls in need of mending, in need of attention, in need of affection, in need of care. We will mend you with pieces of your own sweet self, Nancy writes, with what you've taught from the very beginning. So show care, take care. In these hard times, it's more important than ever to sustain the warmth of this community.
The days be dark with storm, and burdens weigh my heart. Though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. My sorrow heals my soul, and burdens make me strong. Though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. My sibling in my heart, my neighbor in my song. Though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. And though the journey is long, the destination is near. Though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. So neighbors, take my hand, and siblings, sing my song. When hope awaits at every turn, I know we will go on.
We extinguish our chalice with these words from Nancy Reed McKee. You may feel alone, yet you are integral, a part of this community, a part of our common fire. Your light carries through invisible microfilaments, connecting you to me. Burn on. Burn your chalice of light, of love, of deep connection, until we are in each other's presence once again. Go in love. Go in joy. Go in peace.